Hi guys, welcome back to a page in the chapter, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Paige, and it's finally the end of the year. Finally, we've been wanting it since the beginning. Like, we knew at the beginning of this year that wasn't gonna be the right year. Wasn't gonna be the 2020 that we all wanted. It's finally almost over. I get to go home soon, which I'm very excited about. This has been a long and hard term. So since it's nearly the end of the year, I'm gonna do my end of the year book tag, which because I'm still like in my first year of doing booktube, when I saw everyone doing this tag, I was like, it's October and November, why are you doing the end of the year book tag? It's not the end of the year. And then I watched the videos and I realised that it's about what you're going to read at the end of the year, not what you have read. So that makes more sense, and I'm gonna do this tag today. Do like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean a lot. We can talk about some books, which is always fun. Who doesn't want to talk about books? I'm assuming that's why you're here. You should also, you know, maybe check out some of my other videos. They all came from the same brain. So, well, not this tag because I didn't come up with it, but yeah, that doesn't work for this video. And I think with that we should just get into the questions, because apparently I'm being weird today. So the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I very much need to finish Twelfth Night. I have talked before about how I really love these Arded Shakespeare collections, and I have read all of the context. Where I'm at is where the context in history ends and the play starts. And apparently when I started reading the play, I just lost all interest. I put this book down to read Addie LaRue, because as soon as that arrived I knew that I needed to be reading that straight away, and just didn't pick it back up again. So my reasoning for wanting to read Twelfth Night in the first place is when I first moved into this flat, one of the very first movie nights we watched She's a Man, or She's the Man, I don't know the name of it, I'm sorry. And that movie is based on Twelfth Night, and it was such a fantastic movie that I was like, okay, I'm gonna read Twelfth Night. And I still haven't read it. So this is kind of a very, very Shakespearean comedy, and like this whole cross-dressing, pretending to be someone you're not-esque. It kind of very much reminds me of Measure for Measure, which I have read and really enjoyed. So I think I will enjoy this once I actually get into it, but that just hasn't happened yet, and I really want to finish this. I want to be the kind of person who reads Shakespeare for fun. This is like top of my list to finish because my bookmark's in it. I am wasting a very pretty bookmark with it just sitting in here. So, top of the list to finish. I also started and would particularly like to finish the second book in the All Souls trilogy. I read the first one and really, really loved it. I've talked before about how I absolutely loved the real like history elements and the fact that the writer is a historian, and that really comes through and makes it a really, really clever plot. However, in the second book it felt like too much was happening just so the author could show off her knowledge, and that bugged me. Showing off is fine, it's your book and you have all this knowledge, so go for it. But at least try and do it in a way that is relevant to the plot, because just sticking random scenes and information in for the sake of showing that you've done your research doesn't impress me. And so I ended up putting this book down. But I'd like to pick it up again because the actual plot was interesting, there was just a lot of irrelevant details. I'd like to explore and see where the true main plot goes. The second question is, do I have an autumnal book to transition into the winter with? It very much feels like winter in the UK right now. It is Thursday, and I'm filming on Thursday because it has been so dark that I couldn't film for the previous week. And today it's still gloomy, but there's like peaks of actual genuine natural light, so we're going with it. So it very much feels like winter in the UK right now, so I'm very much looking to read Christmassy and very like dark wintry books rather than autumnal ones, but I do have a few. These Rebel Waves is one that I want to use as a transitional book. I feel like this is a fantasy book that follows three perspectives. One of them is a soldier, one of them is a pirate, and one of them is a heretic. And I was just particularly interested in this because of the pirates. And I bought this back in like July. Whenever it was that bookstores opened after the first lockdown in the UK, I went straight to my local bookstore and I was like, I'm gonna buy a load of books, and this was one of them. And I haven't read it yet, and it's been so long, and I really, really want to get to it, but I just keep finding books to read ahead of it, and I'm kind of nervous to start a new series. This is on the list because I just have a feeling this is gonna be really atmospheric. It just kind of seems like a very dark, atmospheric fantasy read. The vibes it gives me kind of give me House of Salt and Sorrow vibe. I just kind of feel like this will be a nice transitional one. I'm very much in the mood for something darker right now. The other option for this question is, well, one that literally arrived yesterday, and that is Wilder Girls by Rory Powers. This has been on my radar for a very, very long time, and I never had the motivation to actually purchase it because it is a sapphic horror and it's quite dark, and it, I believe, follows a boarding school for girls where some kind of infection has taken over, and it's quite a gruesome and gory infection, and I've heard things about the gruesomeness of this book, and that's like been an interesting plot, but not one that I would tend to gravitate towards, so I haven't ever picked it up. But as I said, I'm really in the mood for something dark right now, which isn't me usually, but I don't know, something about this winter and the current weather and atmosphere is just making me gravitate towards stuff like this. I'm really looking forward to this. I might read this next. It's just kind of perfect for the weather right now. Like, it's not so much an autumn to winter transition, it's just perfect for the current weather in the UK. Is there a new release that I am still waiting for? Honestly, no. I'm not very up to date on new releases. There are a couple for like next year, mid to early next year, that I'm excited about. Like, I'm really looking forward to the new Taylor Jenkins Reid book. There's some fantasy books that I'm excited about, but those are like very much towards the middle of next year. And so for the rest of this year and very early 21, I tried to do a little bit of research to see if anything caught my eye, but no, not really. So books that I want to read before the end of the year. I did do a video about this. I set myself like a challenge TBR, but not really a challenge. It was more just I put books out there into the universe that I wanted to read by the end of the year, and 2021 me could go back and look at it and evaluate if I actually did. You can definitely go check out that video if you want to see what a month ago I wanted to have read by the end of the year. Currently, I really want to read A Christmas Carol. I have never read it before, and I've just kind of felt a renewed interest in reading it, so that's definitely on my list. I'm going to read that as like my Christmassy one. I also, by the end of the year, particularly want to read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have these absolutely stunning copies of the duology, and I just haven't read it. I think I read the first chapter over the summer and then put it down because I just read Shadow and Bone and I wanted to step away from the Grishaverse for a while. I've heard such good things about this, and I loved Shadow and Bone trilogy, even though the romance element was just incorrect. She ended up with the wrong person. But yeah, I'm really excited. This is like a heist book set in a fantasy world in the Grishaverse. It sounds so unique and incredible, and I'm really excited about it, and I think this is my, like, this duology is the last of the Leigh Bardugo that I need to read, and then I'm all up to date. So I really want to get to this by the end of the year. I genuinely feel bad that someone bought me these really pretty copies and I haven't read them yet. This is like top of the list, but again, I've just owned them for so long now that I get new books and I want to read the new ones first. I'm very much giving into consumerism, as you can tell. Is there a book that could shock me and still become my favourite book of the year? Most definitely. Currently, at the minute, I can't think of like one standout book. I can think of like a couple books that I really enjoyed and would be contenders for my favourite book of the year, but there is no definitive clear winner right now. So I think The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern could do it. I've heard mixed reviews about this. In fact, I think I've heard more negative reviews than positive ones, except but I have very high hopes for this because I absolutely adored The Night Circus. I would consider The Night Circus one of my favourite books of all time. So this is about a main character, and he finds a book about his own life, and he follows the clues in this book, and it leads him into all sorts of wonderful and magical settings like masquerade balls and secret clubs and a labyrinth, and it just sounds like a truly whimsical and wonderful story that I know Erin Morgenstern writes fantastically. She has a way with bringing a lyrical style and a really like high fantasy plot together in a way that just work beautifully. I think a lot of people have issues with the lyrical writing style, but I know that going in, and I know that I loved The Night Circus, so I don't think that will be an issue here, and I think if anything that will serve to make plot better. I'm very excited about this, and I think in the same way that The Night Circus was like my favourite book of a couple years ago, I don't remember when I read it now, this could very easily take it for this year. I also again have ridiculously high hopes for Wilder Girls. I just think that this is so perfect for how I'm feeling right now that it could do it. I don't know, this is so unlike things that I normally read, but I'm so excited about it, and I think that excitement could transfer into a very high rating. And so we are on to the final question: have I started making plans for 2020? I don't have reading plans for right now. I just finished a book this morning. Do I know what I'm reading next? No. There is a poll up on my Twitter. By the time you see this video, the poll will be done, but you can go follow my Twitter because I do a lot of polls about about what I should read next and just talk about books over there in general. So if you want to get included in that, definitely go check out my Twitter. But yeah, I have no idea what I'm reading now, let alone next year. I will say in terms of Goodreads goal, I have been pretty on track this entire year to get my Goodreads goal, which was 100 books. Obviously lockdown helped a lot with that. I think next year I'm going to up it to 110. Keeping it the same would be the most sensible thing to do because I've been on track, but it hasn't exactly been like easy. I haven't been flying through it. So 100 makes the most sense, but I want to keep challenging myself, at least for now. So I'm going to set it as 110. In the first half of next year, I will be finishing up university, doing my dissertation, graduating, all that fun, terrifying stuff, and my reading will suffer. But then of course over the summer and the last half of the year I won't really be doing anything, and I should hopefully be able to get it back up, you know? So I think 110 is doable, and that's currently where I'm at. And that's the only plan that I have for next year, is that I'm going to up my Goodreads goal. What I'm going to read, how I'm going to read, what the plan's going to be, I don't know. If you have any suggestions, I'm open to them, because making decisions about my own life is not something I want to do right now, so why not? Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you made it this far, it really means a lot. If you did make it this far, then you may as well like and subscribe, because you watched me rattle on about books for this long, so why not, you know? I'm happy to be your last resort video when you're just that bored and no one else has posted anything. I'm happy to be that, but you should subscribe, you know? I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you have any thoughts on the books that I've mentioned at all, do let me know down below. I'm always interested in hearing what people think. Let me know some of your biggest books of the year or some major recommendations that you have. As I said, I have more than enough books to read right now, but you know, my Amazon wishlist can do with more, so why not? Also, if you have done this video, let me know down below too, because I want to connect. I want some booktube friends. I want to vibe with people. So if you've done this video, let me know and I'll probably check it out and check out your channel. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday for my next video. Bye guys.